everybody, and welcome to another edition of Quick Trivia with Mike. I'm Mike Brever, your host, and I hope you got your thinking caps on. We're going to have a lot of fun today. A couple of things that I want to do before we get into the trivia, though. We showed you last week a couple of things that are down in the treasure chest. I wanted to show you a new sampling of things that we have down there. Maybe something that you can just think about. It might pique your interest when the treasure chest opens again, or maybe come and see me in the interim. If you see on our table here, we have a wonderful assortment of dishes, and we have many, many, many sets available for you or your family or your friends to purchase. The plates that we have as a place setting are $1. Everything else you see up here is 50 cents. So you've got a cup and a saucer, you've got a bread plate, you've got a salad plate. Each of them are 50 cents. The main dinner plate itself is $1. You're looking at $3 here. You could get a place setting of 10 for $30, and we have enough dishes that we're not going to run out. So, you know, keep in mind that we have things like this down in the treasure chest, and come and see me sometime if you'd like to talk about any of these things. We'll figure out a way for you to be able to get these until we open again. I do want to point out, though, we talked last week about the fact that a spin-off show of Quick Trivia with Mike is coming very, very soon. It's actually going to be on ECTV channel 955 next week. I'm not sure if it's going to be Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, but it will be the ECTV Great TV Auction. We're going to be broadcasting from the treasure chest downstairs, and my co-host Ray Schmidt, and we're also going to have Laura Wengler down there with us. We're going to have Scott, our cameraman and producer. We're going to highlight several of the wonderful things that we have down there for you to bid on, and we're going to have a lot of fun with that. So stay tuned. That is pending. Next week it should be on your airwaves. Now, we started last week with theme music, what we call in the business, we call it bumper music. And I asked you, although it wasn't related to our trivia challenge each week, if you could tell me what that theme music was and why it was made famous. Nobody actually got the right answer on it. The composer was Mussorgsky. The music itself was made famous by Walt Disney. He used it as part of the soundtrack for what he considered to be his masterpiece, the 1940 production of Fantasia. That was the theme music last week. This week, you noticed we have a new theme music as we came into the show. We're going to use a new format with this, something that I think is going to make it a little bit more fun for you. In the past, we've told you that the one who gets the most answers right is the automatic winner. If there are ties as to how many you got right with someone else, then whoever got their guess in first is going to be the winner. We're going to change that a little bit. You tell me the theme music, what we call the bumper music, that we led into the show with today. If you weren't paying attention, we're going to be playing it as we go out of the show as well. Put your thinking caps on. See if you can tell me who the composer of that music is. That's our tiebreaker this week. If 2 or more people get 3 answers right, or 2 answers right, or 1 answer right, that's the tiebreaker. Name that theme music, and if you're the only one, then you're the winner if you tied for the most answers correct. So there you have it, a new addition to Quick Trivia with Mike. I hope you have a lot of fun with that. We also had another non-contest question for you last week. Remember, it came to us from a regular viewer, Jim Fry. I thought it was a wonderful question, but it wasn't going to be fair to Jim if we included it with the questions for the bottle of wine. But I thought it was such a good question, I included it just for a little bit of fun for you. The question was, how many pairs of presidents were there that shared a last name, and what was the relationship? Jim pointed out as an example that if Hillary Clinton had won the 2016 presidential contest, she would have been president, and Bill Clinton would have been president, and the relationship was husband and wife. Nobody actually got all of them, but we did have Arlene Brackensick, who got closest. She actually got 4 of them right. Here is the list for those of you that were playing along and weren't able to name them all. John Adams, president number 2, and John Quincy Adams, president number 6, were father and son. Andrew Johnson and LBJ, presidents number 17 and 36. They weren't actually related. However, it's probable that they shared a common ancestor, a lord or a duke or something like that back in England in the 14th century, and then the two families split off. So by contemporary standards, they were not related at all. William Henry Harrison, president number 9, and Benjamin Harrison, president number 23, were grandfather and grandson. Theodore Roosevelt, president number 26, and FDR, president number 32, were distant cousins. In fact, they were so distant that FDR was actually more closely related to his wife than he was to Theodore Roosevelt. His wife was a 3rd cousin, I think, or something like that. The Bushes, of course, George H.W., number 41, and George W., number 43, father and son. I cautioned you that this was a trick question, however. The trick part of it is presidents number 22 and president number 24, both of which were Grover Cleveland, of course. And the answer to how they're related is that they were the same guy. Grover Cleveland was president number 22 and number 24. If you were keeping track, that is 6 president pairs that shared a last name. And again, Arlene got the closest with that. She had 4 and she got all 4 of them right. She missed 2 of them. Now let's get right to it. We did have a new player this past week, the Myers, fresh back from snowbirding in Florida, joined right in on their very first week, so we want to welcome them to Quick Trivia with Mike. This week we had a lot of wonderful players, but the most questions right that anybody had was only 2. You remember we always have 3 questions that go for our trivia. Only 2 of them were right, and I'll share with you that we have a new winner this time. The first question I had for you was, who was the richest president in 2020 dollars? What you had to do was take the money of their era and adjust it for inflation to 2020. President Trump, of course, is the richest president based on 2020 dollars. But previous to that, it was George Washington. I had done some research and found that his wealth would have been estimated at $500 million. One of our participants actually found something that indicated he'd have been worth about $650 million. Either way, George Washington was the next richest president after Donald Trump. The second question we had for you is, why is NASA in Houston instead of Cambridge? We had a lot of answers from this. We had that Sam Rayburn was Speaker of the House. We had that Humble Oil had donated a tract of land in Houston. The actual answer we were looking for is that John F. Kennedy was from Massachusetts. In fact, he was formerly a senator from Massachusetts. Lee Harvey Oswald got in the way of NASA being in Cambridge. When John F. Kennedy was assassinated and Lyndon Baines Johnson became president, Lyndon Baines Johnson's home turf was Texas, of course. Before they got too far in construction in Cambridge, Massachusetts, Lyndon Baines Johnson decided, you know, NASA should really be in Houston. That'd be a much better location. And lo and behold, that's where it is to this day. The third question we had for you was the name of the extension on the Art Museum in downtown Milwaukee. Some of you know the Art Museum as the War Memorial, some of you know it as the Art Museum, but probably about 20-25 years ago, the Art Museum hired a noted architect by the name of Santiago Calatrava to build an extension on that Art Museum. We had many different guesses. Some actually guessed that it was called the Calatrava. That unfortunately was not correct. The Calatrava, of course, it has become synonymous with that because it's the name of the architect, but it's not really the name of the extension. Some people guessed that it was the Quadracci Pavilion. It is not. One person actually guessed that it was the, the Ryman Bridge. That's not it at all either. Nobody got this one right, so the most correct answers we had was 2. The correct answer for this is that it is known as the Brise Soleil. The Brise Soleil is a French term. It literally means to be blocking the sun, shade from the sun. And that is what Santiago Calatrava called the extension on the art museum. So nobody got that one right. We did have several people that got 2 answers correct. Up until this week, we went by who had the earliest number of most correct answers. We had 3 different people got 2 answers. By 1 minute, we have a new champion this week. It is the Myers, fresh back from Florida. We're the grand champions this week with 2 correct answers. The Myers are going to win this wonderful bottle of Cabernet Sauvignon. It comes from High Valley Vineyards. It's 2016, and I can tell you, this is an excellent wine. They're going to enjoy it very much. Now let's get right into this week, shall we? Put on your thinking caps. Again, I've got 3 questions for you. We're going to begin this week's contest with a What Am I? This is a very favorite feature that a lot of people missed because I haven't done it the last couple of weeks. But I show you a picture of something, and you have to tell me what it is. What am I? We've got this picture right here. It goes back probably about 40 years now. It bears the name of the inventor. What am I? You tell me that, and you've got this one correct. We also have 2 other quick questions for you. Let me get my notes out so that I can move along with them. Back in 1892, in the state of Michigan, there was a sanitarium that was staffed by obviously a group of professionals, and sanitariums in those days, you know, it might be for people who needed an extended rest, it might be for, similar to what we might think today as a sanitarium, someone who had clinical issues. But the director of the sanitarium, who was really into holistic things, not necessarily into medicating his patients if he could avoid it, was into holistic ways of trying to approach cures. He was concerned that there was a common ailment among all of his residents and patients, and it was a sense of unease, an unrest, a nervousness about them. And he was seeking a way to calm their nerves. He invented something that within 30 or 40 years became widely used, but for a different reason throughout the world. What was that the head of the sanitarium in Michigan in 1894 invented to calm the nerves of his residents and patients? If you can come up with that, that is question number 2. The third question that I have for you today is a little bit of a geography quiz. There are 39 counties in the United States that have population of 1 million residents or more. Only 39. That's not really a very large number. However, we talked 2 weeks ago about how Milwaukee was formed. It was formed where it was because of the confluence of 3 rivers. We talked about the fact that in the 19th century, the fastest mode of transportation was water. Rivers, Great Lakes, being on the ocean. That's how goods traveled. As a result of that, most of the most populous areas in the United States are on bodies of water. In fact, of the 39 counties that have populations of 1 million or more, only 5 do not reside on either an ocean, the Gulf of Mexico, or a Great Lake. Now, I should correct that. I said that the county itself does not reside on an ocean, the Gulf of Mexico, or a Great Lake. I meant to say the state. These 5 counties are in states that do not reside on an ocean, the Gulf of Mexico, or a Great Lake. Now, I'm not going to ask you to give me the names of the counties because some of the counties are pretty obscure. But as you can imagine, the counties that have populations of over 1 million tend to have a major city in them that drives that population. My question to you is, what are those 5 cities that reside in counties that are located in states that are not on an ocean, the Gulf of Mexico, or a Great Lake? A great little geography quiz there to wrap out our 3 questions today. Good luck to all of you. You know the way to win is to go to the concierge and write down on a sheet of paper your 3 answers. Again, you don't necessarily need to give me the date and the time today because as a tiebreaker, we're going to go with the music that we're opening and closing the show with. So get that in as quick as you can. The second thing you can do is you can call my desk, 963-8425, and leave your guesses, or you can email me, mbrever@eastcastleplace.com. Now, I know that I gave that phone number and the email address to you very quickly, much too quickly for you to write them down. Call the front desk and ask the concierge for my phone number or my email address. They'll be happy to give it to you. Get me your guesses and you're in. I can tell you that not everybody every week has been giving me 3 answers. They give me what they're comfortable with. As you now know, 3 weeks ago, nobody got any of the answers. Last week, only 2 of the answers were correct. So answer what you're comfortable with. You might be the big winner. Again, a bottle of wine to our winner next week. That's all I have for you this week. This is Quick Trivia with Mike. I'm your host, Mike Brever. Until next week, I ask you all to keep safe, be smart, and be patient. We'll all be together again very, very soon, and we'll be able to enjoy our community as a group. Until then, so long.